Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Glad to have you in the conversation. Let me just grab that story about the homeschool family. By the way, here's our Winnable War moment for the day. This is a piece on Bloomberg Business Week. So this is a secular publication, left-wing publication. They're all about business. But they've got an article entitled The Vanishing Abortion Clinic. And the point that they make is since 2011, legislatures in 30 mostly Republican-controlled states have passed 203 abortion restrictions, about as many as in all of the prior decade. At least 73 clinics have closed or stopped performing abortions. That's just since 2011. 73 clinics around the country have closed or stopped performing abortion. So ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you every day we are fighting a winnable war, here is evidence. Here is proof. 73 abortion clinics have closed since 2011. Bloomberg says new laws are responsible for roughly half of the closures, while declining demand, industry consolidation, and crackdowns on unfit providers have also contributed to the drop. So declining demand, again, that's an indication that we are winning the war for the minds of Americans on the subject of abortion. Not as many young women now are seeking abortions as were even 3 or 4 years ago. And there have been crackdowns on unfit providers. That's what happened with Gosnell, just the conditions of the abortion clinic, completely unacceptable from a medical and hygienic and sanitary standpoint. So a lot of them have been shut down for that reason. And we're taking calls. And here let me give you the details on this story about this woman whose children were ordered to attend school for socialization. Nationally, this is from Purcellville, Virginia. A homeschooling mom was ordered by the court to send her children to school to socialize. Her name is Teresa Cano of Florida. She's been in an ongoing child visitation battle with her husband. And during the process of arbitration, the court had appointed a psychologist and a guardian ad litem to oversee the matter. During a recent hearing, get this, the psychologist testified that the children who were being homeschooled by their mother were doing well academically. What's the purpose of school? The purpose of school is to learn something. It's education. It's academics. And the psychologist said they're doing great. Academically, they're doing exactly what school is designed to do. These are becoming educated young Americans. He had absolutely no fault to find with the academic progress of these children. What is the purpose of school? It is not to socialize. It is to educate. So this homeschooling mom getting the job done, but the psychologist, the guardian ad litem, this wasn't even the psychologist. This was the guardian ad litem. This is somebody that's appointed to look after the best interests of the children, which is a parent's job. The guardian ad litem told the court that her, quote, gut reaction, end quote, was that the children should be sent to public school where they could socialize with others. And as a result, the judge ordered that the children attend public school, and she lectured the mom about keeping her children at home. When are they going to socialize? That's exactly the question I have for liberals. Kirsten Powers' former friends. When are you going to socialize? When are you going to get out of this little secular fundamentalist liberal bubble and get to know ordinary Americans and find out what the rest of the world is like? When are you going to socialize? I think that is really the appropriate question. It's also interesting to note that the father had no objection to the fact that the kids were being homeschooled. So the mom wants it. She's doing it. She's accepted the responsibility. The husband, even though they're going through a divorce, he's absolutely fine with it. He's got no problem. And so because of the gut reaction of this guardian ad litem, just some individual has absolutely no relationship with these children, none whatsoever, doesn't love them like the mom does or like the father does. He or she steps in, and it's a she, and she just had a gut reaction. It's just entirely subjective, entirely emotional. And the judge bases his decision not on the law, not on the fundamental right of parents to direct the upbringing and education of their children. That is a part of common law in Western jurisprudence since day one. That's always been part of common law, and it's a part of state law and part of constitutional law in most states that this is a responsibility of parents to direct the upbringing and education of their children. So this judge, based on a gut reaction, just on some entirely emotional, subjective reaction of somebody who doesn't even know these kids, doesn't love them, doesn't care for them, decides they've got to be sent to school to socialize. And so I want to get some of your reactions to that. I've got some of my own observations about this whole socialization business, but I would like to hear what yours are. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840 is the number to call. Let me give you a quick update. Whoa, that number I'm not sure can be right. Well, I don't know if that can possibly be right. Whoa. I'm looking at the pledge totals up at 77,000. That must be some kind of a misfire. Jeff, can we have somebody check with John Riley? I'm looking at the dashboard here for Operation Christmas Child, and that number just doesn't sound like it could possibly be right, but maybe it is. But anyway, we're asking you to make a gift of $30, and we will pack a shoebox for you. Every dollar goes right into the shoebox to be sent to a needy child in one of 130 countries around the world. We'll pack the shoebox for you if you haven't had time to do it. Remember, a copy of the gospel goes into every one of these shoeboxes. It has toys, supplies, hygiene items. For a lot of these children, this is the only gift, maybe the first gift they've ever received in their entire lives. If you didn't have a chance to pack a shoebox yourself, we'll do it for you for a $30 gift. Call 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396, and we'll be happy to pack a shoebox for you. And your gift will cover the cost of the items that go into the shoebox. They will cover all the package and all the shipping. Make sure it gets to the field to a child that really needs to have it. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Joyce, Lakeland, Florida. Joyce, welcome. What's on your mind?
About the judge ordering the children to go to school.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a daughter who has 3 children. She homeschooled them. I'm glad she wasn't where he lived, but they got socialized very well. They played with the neighbors' children, and they went faithfully with their parents to Sunday school and church where they socialized with other people. So to me, his judgment is baloney.
Well, and that's exactly part of my reaction, and I appreciate very much, your call, Joyce, and I thank you for that. Homeschoolers have plenty of opportunities for socialization. They've got the other members of their family, because a lot of times families will homeschool together. They have their neighbors. I mean, they still live in neighborhoods with kids that they can play with outdoors after they get home from public school. A lot of them are involved, most of them, almost all of them involved in church youth groups, plenty of socialization there. A lot of homeschool parents will form a little association where they will have field trips together. They will even have orchestras. They will have football teams. In fact, I read a story last week about the National Homeschool Football Championship. They even form football teams. You can have chess clubs. You can have orchestras. You can have other sorts of events where they'll come together. Homeschool families will come together. Homeschool students will come together. Plenty of opportunities for socialization. They can join a group like Trail Life, which is what the Boy Scouts used to be. So they can socialize with other boys that want to learn outdoor skills and all that kind of stuff. So it seems to me that the opportunity for socialization here is huge. And they're socializing with adults. They often will socialize with adults more than kids who go to public school. And you think about socialization, somebody put this on my Facebook page. What happens in school? You send your kid to public school. Now, we send our kids to public school all the way through high school, so don't misunderstand me. I'm not criticizing parents that do that, because that's the choice that Debbie and I made. But you send them to school, and they sit in this room. They sit in these rows, and they're surrounded by people exactly the same age as they are, have the same language skills, the same maturity, the same level of development. They're not really socializing with students that provide some kind of variety and diversity of age and experience and all that kind of stuff. So I think that whole socialization thing is completely and utterly bogus, and that's something that ought to be up to parents to decide what to do there. Well, let's go. Thank you, Joyce. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Susan in Bentonville, Arkansas. Susan, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hi,
Hey.
Brian. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your updates on the Winnable War updates. It's very encouraging.
Good. Well, that's great, isn't it? 73 abortion clinics have been closed since 2011. Ladies and
Praise
gentlemen,
God.
this is a winnable war. Now, we got to stay with it. That didn't happen overnight. We've been fighting this battle since 1973, but we clearly are making progress, and we're winning some battles there. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think it's great. That's actually an issue that's very dear to my heart because I was a single mom for 11 years. You know, I had an unexpected early pregnancy, and I honored my conscience and gave my son life, and he's the best thing that ever happened to me. And we went through the system, going to college, living in government housing, trying to receive government subsidies and all that to make it happen. And we lived in some really bad neighborhoods, and we saw what was. I know the system really well. I know how it's abused. I know, I've seen it firsthand. And anyway, long story. I'm rounding about here. I received a liberal arts education. I did music with 4 atheists, in a folk band. And so to answer your question about Miss Kirsten, I watched her a little bit. I watch Fox News when my blood pressure will let me. Sometimes I have to just turn it off for a while. But, I've seen her before. She likes to play devil's advocate. I think that's a great quality. I think that, in the public school systems, that's one thing that has been the most detrimental to my son is just not having the liberty to have his own thinking. And
right, yeah, they're kind of brainwashed, aren't they, a lot of times?
Yeah, and his self-esteem has taken some serious blows. He's not designed for public schools, and I would have loved to have had the opportunity to homeschool him.
All right, Susan, listen, I'm sorry, I'm out of time. I'd love to hear more, but we are up against a hard break here at the end of the hour. Thanks for calling, Susan. Appreciate that very much. You listen to Focal Point AF for Talk. We'll be right back after the news. And Susan making a good point. A lot of times the socialization in public schools is not what you want for your child, and parents know what the child needs. Focal Point AF for Talk.